All right, you ready to get started, Scott?
Ready, John?
Let's do it. All right. Well, thanks for joining us. I appreciate everybody taking some time out today. Um, this the focus here is really just to kind of answer the question: are private cellular networks right for you? We're going to cover a bit of the overall technology around private cellular. We're going to cover some top use cases. We're going to cover some specific elements of the GXC solution, and we'll jump into some Q&A at the end. We're planning for around 30 minutes for this plus Q&A, and we can go as long as we want. I think we've specified an hour, so we've got plenty of time here, but I want to jump into it and make sure we have plenty of time. And joining me is Scott Firmstone from GXC. Scott will be doing the bulk of the heavy lifting today. Most of what I'll be doing will be this intro and the close and witty banter throughout, most likely. That's kind of my specialty. But we'll get started here. We're going to cover, obviously, private cellular networks. We're going to talk about the security, the reliability, and the cost savings versus other possible solutions. A little about GXC, and I'm sure Scott will get into more, so I'll hit the highlights here. I'm super excited about the technology that GXC brings, and we'll talk in depth about it, but I think that it's one of the few entrants that is fully focused on the enterprise market. It gives you the ability to manage and monitor through a single pane of glass, and they have up to 17, maybe almost 20 now patents around the meshing technology, the only private cellular company that's doing meshing, which I think is a real win for our customers. Easy deployment. We've got the ability to not only connect the nodes, but also connect other technologies within. Great security, and it really includes everything. You've got the RAN, the core, you've got meshing, NMS, and SIM. So it's a full scale solution that comes to you and is easily deployed in this cost effective and mesh based architecture. Now, a little bit about us. Stargent, we're a value added reseller. We handle most any RF or wireless technology from cellular, RFID, IoT, and broadband. And we really specialize in enterprise and industrial clients, which for us is a great way to bring this technology into mission critical use cases where they really need it. Our specialty, if I get into kind of my reason for doing this, we want to bring back distribution the way it used to be. We focus on customer relationships. We focus on relationships with our supply partners, and our specialty is white glove service, customizable solutions, and strategic stock.
So let's. I don't know, John, if I could make a comment there too. I just from a GXC's perspective, partnering with Stargent, it's we really view it as a strategic and awesome relationship because Stargent does bring that type of service level we're looking for and our customers are looking for, and we also love the fact that they have a whole host and a full suite of IoT solutions that speak well and fit into a lot of the use cases. Some of the use cases we'll be talking about today, but most of the use cases that we're dealing with our customer base, Stargent fits in quite nicely. So we're welcoming this relationship and excited about the opportunity to speak with you all today. And I just wanted to interject that, John.
Well, thanks, Scott. Appreciate that, buddy. So let's talk about the challenges. One of the things we've discovered in our journey is, generally speaking, in this space, our customers care less about technology and more about solutions, right? And I think that we find the intersection of great technology and solutions to the key challenges here. And first and foremost, one of the challenges is the data loss, the corruption, and lack of ownership. How do we address that? How do we ensure that we're driving a robust solution into enterprise and industrial? Operational efficiency and the challenge of interoperability. That really speaks to how can we build a solution that answers these needs, and how can we make sure that, I always say, we're building a base level network. We can run anything off of this network, but we're going to build the base on a robust, secure private wireless foundation. And, how do we reduce disrupted connectivity and productivity costs? It is not easy to ensure these things, but the technology that we have here today and the partnership, I think, really helps with that. And then we'll cover just a bit about cybersecurity, how we handle the vulnerabilities, how we fend off attacks. And then what do we do about indoor versus outdoor? It's not always super easy to build one technology around indoor versus outdoor. A lot of our customers have separate suppliers for different areas of their facilities, and we're able to do both. And in fact, I think that the outdoor requirements are just as robust here with the GXC product as the indoor. And then lastly, if you've followed, we'll cover a bit about this, but there's a decent amount of compliance and regulatory risk. In the US, the CBRS frequencies are shared. There is a frequency coordination required with the government. There are priorities to who can operate in which channels based on the needs of kind of these legacy or incumbent spectrum holders. And that can be often a little bit scary for customers. And I think that there's a unique and novel solution here to solve those. Anything you want to add on that one, Scott?
I think you're good, man. Thank you.
So how do we overcome those? We overcome it by using a private network and effectively a private solution. And we're empowering a world where enterprises can rely on seamless private wireless connectivity. So you have complete ownership of your data as opposed to a public network. You have a highly secure wireless network as opposed to some of the ISM band solutions. You have seamless coverage, which gives you the ability to roam within your network. It's a complementary technology to Wi-Fi. And I think this is super interesting. I think we don't spend enough time talking about how you can build a robust infrastructure using Wi-Fi and private wireless. There's a lot, if you read the articles and you read the press, you see a lot of kind of Wi-Fi 7 versus private 5G. And I think ours and GXC's position on it is Wi-Fi 7 and private 5G. They're great technologies, each have their place, and it's possible to build a network and still keep an eye on your technology and your overall TCO and have both. Then intelligent spectrum management. As we mentioned, there is an opportunity to share this spectrum with the US government, created this, and how do we do that, and how does private wireless solve for that? And I think there's a lot of information out there, but I think we'll cover some of that. Next, a cloud native stack. And I think there are a couple of things here, right? Most importantly, if you've followed this, and I know some of the attendees here have followed it for quite a while, what we had a lot of RAN manufacturers that jumped into the private wireless. And okay, here's your private wireless node. Now go find your core. Now go find this. Now go find all of these other and put them together. Here we've got cloud management. It's a native stack, and you're able to see, and it's all in one. What does all of that do? It enables complex use cases. So, we're building networks today that have a private LTE, private wireless base that also enable IoT, that also enable band 48 devices, that also enable Wi-Fi. So we're using a base layer network for this. And, I think T-Mobile kind of coined the phrase layer cake, but it's a pyramid in my mind, and we're building private wireless on the bottom, and we're adding additional technologies to complement the use cases. And we're really starting to see that there are endless use cases.
I like to add just a couple things here too, John. Great job. I think one of the things too that I like to focus in on is that it complements Wi-Fi and the enablement of complex use cases. If you want to go back to that, there you go. You know, coming from a Wi-Fi background like I have, I'm very familiar with a lot of the Wi-Fi deployments that are typical out there in the industry today. But where I see private cellular really excelling is in those complex use cases where you may have to have some lot more mobility, a lot more connectivity in those areas where Wi-Fi just can't get to, whether they be outside or even inside. A lot of these industrial use cases, for example, you'll see there's lots of water, there's lots of the painting going on, there's lots of metal and glass girders and things like that that are in the way, and there's shelving that is always changing, locations and height. Requirements change on the regular, and the cellular technology itself really lends itself to that type of an environment to get those signals across to those users, even in critical situations where you have man down situations where cellular would be a little bit better of a technology to use than Wi-Fi. We're starting to see a lot of these use cases kind of bubble up, and you know, working with a partner like Stargent, who is, you know, deploying a lot of these IoT devices to customers like that, it's a natural progression of discussion to start talking about how a private cellular network can help solve for and enable those use cases to be successful.
So that's a great segue into the top use cases. And I'll kind of run through them, and I think we all have seen a few of these, but I'll just remind you, everybody, as we get through this, we will be doing Q&A at the end. You can start to put them in the chat or the questions box, and the team is tabulating those, and we'll get to them at the end. So feel free as they come up to pop them in, and we can start to address them. So let's talk about these use cases. Automation and control systems. There's an entire market around this Industry 4.0, or, you know, bringing OT and IT together, the carpet versus the concrete. All of those things are starting to happen. We're starting to see the convergence of two networks, especially manufacturing facilities, where, you know, our automation and control systems, what would be kind of traditional SCADA systems, are being brought into core networks. They're more into the CIO's purview, and we'll see how we can actually add these in and what we can do with this technology. Safety and security monitoring. I think it's interesting as we move into private 5G, how we have the ability to move lots of data, have multiple devices, low latency, how we can solve some of these safety and security concerns that previously were done either with hardwire or maybe not as well with a wireless solution. Workforce and asset tracking, start to get into a little bit of the IoT stuff there. And, you know, with devices, with the CBRS or private network capable devices, we can now not only track our workers to ensure safety, we can track high value assets. We can track any kind of equipment, farm or even industrial equipment, and understand where they are and deliver a robust solution. The network and information security, super critical. As we move the network out into the shop floor, out into the farm, out into the enterprise, how do we maintain that security that we've built around the enterprise data? Remote and mobile connectivity. We're going to talk about the meshing. We're going to talk about the outdoor aspects of this. And it really, for the first time, opens up a unified solution for the entire campus. The infrastructure and facility maintenance. This is a thing that we work in quite frequently. And what we see are, you know, if I am in a production facility and I need to measure pressure in my chillers, I can now do that because I've built a robust network that runs any technology and any use case. Energy and environmental management. we can run all of those again via the base layer, and with band 48 capable devices, we're not even necessarily reliant on NB-IoT or LoRaWAN. We can always add those solutions into the overall network, but as the device ecosystem builds, we'll be less reliant on those technologies. Customer and experience and engagement. It's so great to know that your network is connected where you need it and where your customers require it. And then data analytics and decision report. Anything from vibration monitoring to water metering to irrigation on a farm, all built and driven back into the core network through these use cases. And then operational efficiency and productivity. The view into an enterprise-wide data is so critical for these customers. The ability to come in and give you a view into every critical piece of data in a stream that comes in and gives you alerts and drives reports, use cases, regulatory compliance. All of that stuff's available here because we're extending the network to the entire facility. Scott?
No, I think you hit it all on the head. I think it's a good transition into the next few slides here. We'll talk about all of these use cases speak specifically to the GXC solution, and we'll talk a little bit more about some specific use cases here as we brought in some examples for you guys. But I wanted to kind of just at a very high level for everyone on this call, if you're just being introduced to private cellular and GXC, we tout ourselves as being an enterprise first solution, and we've developed this enterprise class solution from the ground up to be enterprise. We're a little different than maybe some of the larger box providers out there, where you may be looking at a telco solution to try to fit into an enterprise. We've really designed our solution to be enterprise first in nature, look like an enterprise Wi-Fi deployment from a network management perspective, so that the folks that are doing the IT admin and site engineers are used to seeing some of the information that we have on our NMS. But really, what are the components of the GXC solution we call Onyx? We've got and these are all GXC solutions that we're going to talk about today, or the solution we're going to talk about today is all GXC. We're not piecemealing our RAN or our core from other vendors. It's all under one roof. It's all one single pane of glass, and it's an enterprise class solution. So on the left-hand side here of the screen, you'll see an indoor radio, along with a couple of our outdoor access points, along with what we talked about earlier, our meshing solution, our meshing capabilities. And those are all standalone in nature, meaning you don't necessarily have to deploy a mesh network with our solution. It is an additional feature set or an additional product that you would order if the use case dictates it. And where we're seeing a lot of the mesh coming into play is where running fiber and cables become cost prohibitive, and putting up a mesh node to backhaul into an AP would be beneficial for that and really reduce those costs. Deploying fiber and things of that nature can really skyrocket, and having a solution that can do mesh, and we're the only private cellular manufacturer out there that has a mesh solution, can really be a driver to some cost efficiencies on the overall network deployment. In the middle of the screen there, you'll see a server running our core. Our core runs on that server. We're able to fit that server technology to your needs. And working with the folks at Stargent, we'll work with you to develop the best solution for your needs and for your customers' needs. And then, of course, on the far right is our single pane of glass management, where we have an NMS that helps and allows you to provision, maintain, and see what's going on in your network. We do at the end of this presentation, we'll talk a little bit about next steps and maybe getting some folks from your organizations on the phone to talk with us. We do offer demo walkthroughs of this solution where we get into more in-depth detail on our architecture and how the NMS operates within that. In addition to that NMS, we have SaaS integration built in, and of course, this private cellular is based on a SIM technology, so end user devices with that CBRS SIM card will be able to speak the CBRS language to our RAN and our core solution here. And of course, if you have devices in your network that are CBRS enabled, they'll be ready to go to speak to the RAN directly. Or if you have a legacy architecture of Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, low RAN, and others, there would be a gateway included in, or a gateway required in the solution to be able to speak to those devices. And of course, our friends here at Stargent would be able to provide a lot of that technology along with the overall network solution that we put together in partnership with Stargent. You can go to the next one, John. I don't know if you have anything to add to that, John.
I'll just say you're 100% spot on. And one of the big things that we're working to do is build a mobile demo network that demonstrates the GXC technology, tablets / portables, and LoRaWAN Bluetooth technology. And we'll be bringing that to a trade show near you in the near future.
That's great. And so just real quick on the bandwidth side, you'll see where we kind of 4G, 5G, 4G LTE, and 5G are kind of the evolution, and which each technology kind of speaks to maybe some of those use cases that as they get more complex and more data intensive, 5G becomes much more viable solution, right? If you look down at the first access point here that we've got, the 4G access point. Low bandwidth requirements, scanners, IoT phones like printers, Zebra printers, things like that, and maybe an industrial application would be perfect on that type of a network. And as we start to kind of creep up as to where the use cases are going, and more IoT devices are put on the network, and you start to see maybe some autonomous vehicles and robotics and 4K cameras, and people want to start using AR and VR in their facilities, the bandwidth requirements are going up on that. And the nice thing within the private cellular is the solution, the Onyx solution, is that we can tweak that upstream and downstream bandwidth so that if it's more data intensive on the way up, we can give more bandwidth to that upstream versus a downstream. Whereas I guess the big comparison there would be, we're all used to using maybe cellular, technology from an MNO, which we're getting Netflix and we're downloading things from the internet. Whereas when you're looking at an enterprise and you're looking at devices out there, and we're getting more and more of these devices that are requiring more and more upload of data into the network, a 5G solution is going to be perfect for those types of use cases. John, next slide. So a couple use cases before we wrap up today. These are specific to GXC, where we've kind of worked with customers to deploy our solution in situations where they didn't have connectivity. I like this use case here in this customer case study, where we were working with an automobile manufacturer. And if you see right here down on the right-hand side of the slide, there's what looks to be like a really long rectangle, but that's really a barge or a boat that's delivering cars to the shore here, and the facility where they're going to start tracking and tagging cars as they come into the facility, and they need to know which cars they're getting, where they've been, what they're going to do with them in the future. They didn't have any connectivity out here, so they ran a mesh node from their NOC out to this location out here towards the water's edge, and then they were able to utilize their tablets and their scanners to start scanning and tagging those cars as they were coming off of the boat. And you can see how how they had no coverage prior to this, and now we are covering almost 100% of this area with a mesh node, and they're able to see a lot more production and asset tracking type of capabilities that they wouldn't have had before had they had to run a fiber connection out there, and the costs go up so much that it becomes less efficient to be able to connect those devices out there in the space. So you know, it was a combination of indoor and outdoor APs. Indoor, obviously, on the inside of the facility, and outdoor on the outside of the facility. The costs are exponentially less than if you were to have to run fiber to some of these locations and put up APs from those fiber connections. And we're starting to see a whole bunch of this type of use case come to our attention, where they're starting to use it for more, not just the asset tracking side of things, but also lots of tools are now connecting through various means of wireless connectivity, whether it be Bluetooth or LoRaN or even CBRS itself. There's environmental monitoring that's going on in some of these facilities. And again, I think it's good safety protocol to have this coverage in a situation like this, to be able to monitor people that need to be monitored from a worker safety perspective. So really lots of use cases all inside this one, and really kind of exciting to be able to work on some of these types of use cases. And of course, you know, partnering with a company like Stargent, they provide a lot of the IoT devices that go into a lot of these things as well. And even in inside plant and outside plant type of deployments, where a lot of connectivity with Wi-Fi wasn't covering a lot of this and not covering outside, you're able to now, through a combination of an indoor and outdoor private network, have that seamless connectivity that follows you from outside to, or from inside to outside. You know, high availability type of situations where you're having to monitor maybe forklift trucks that are going around the yard. You're having to monitor containers, things like that. You know, where we can't really hit all those areas with maybe something like a Wi-Fi or a wired connection. Private cellular really comes into play to be able to efficiently and effectively meet the needs of a use case like this, and really covering a large area. Like this one, you know, we're looking at 3.5 million square feet. I'm not really sure how many Wi-Fi APs it would take to cover that, but it's you know, on the inside of a private cellular deployment, we're usually seeing like four Wi-Fi APs to one cellular AP. So you can kind of see some of the cost efficiencies you can get while covering the same amount of distance with the technology that will hit all those nooks and crannies of a facility, cover all the people that are inside that facility in a safe manner, and make sure that with all of the IoT devices that are out there communicating with the network, you're able to deploy a network that can handle the bandwidth requirements of that, and GXC can definitely do that. Anything to add on any of this? No. So some of the highlights here that I like to point out with GXC, you know, we have a robust and reliable solution. We offer complete and secure coverage, an end-to-end zero trust deployment model. We are definitely built for the enterprise from the ground up, as I showed you earlier. We are the industry's only cellular mesh solution, and where that comes into play is where, you know, you don't have that ability to dig trench, lay fiber, or it becomes cost prohibitive to do so. We offer a solution that can help mitigate those costs associated with that. Simple to deploy and manage, as John mentioned before. We have put together like a real slick demo kit, sales kit, if you will, that you're able to fire up an indoor private cellular network with the push of a button, and it showcases the connectivity of devices, many IoT devices, cell phones, tablets, what have you, scanners, Zebra scanners. And we show that at every trade show that we're engaged with, and we'll be doing that with Stargent here in the near future. Highly scalable, it scales out for enterprise class deployments. Encrypted security, it all starts with that SIM card encryption at the user device level. And then we also offer flexible pricing models where we can get into CapEx and OpEx discussions with you, depending on the needs that you or your customer may have. That's my high-level presentation for the day, everybody. John, I don't know if you want to. We probably have a few questions.
Yeah, I think we've got some questions coming in. I'll get to those. I just would say, by way of wrap up, I mean, if you're an enterprise and you're considering this and you don't look at the GXC solution, I think you're not doing your stakeholders justice here, because this is the most complete solution focused on enterprise, and I've seen them all. There's some people that are on this call that know that I've been following, tracking, and interested in this since its very, very early days, and this is the best, most complete solution that I've seen to date. And when you add in TCO in addition to what you're getting, I mean, it's a great option for really anything that you're looking at doing.
Some of the questions I see, we answered the question of how does mesh reduce network costs, and we talked a little bit about how it's a great alternative to having to dig fiber, trench lines, lay cable, things like that nature. And we offer it, we design and deploy it in a very efficient manner so that it's helping reducing those fiber costs, if you will, or cable costs. And then we're a full turnkey end-to-end solution, right? Everything is purchased through ourselves and Stargent, our distribution partner. And when you get your GXC Onyx solution, it's all from GXC, our RAN, our core, our NMS, complete end-to-end solution, and completely turnkey, built for the enterprise.
And I would say that, right, like our partnership means that we're going to be able to obviously provide GXC's solution, but we also have poles, we have antennas, we have fiber enclosures, we have everything you need stocked here in our warehouse in Dallas, which gives a 3-day ship to pretty much anywhere. And I've got the ability to stage in the eastern or western part of the country if we need it. And it means that I can kit it by site. I can literally, the GXC solution plus our ancillary products, everything can be put together, wrapped up, and shipped to the site. So it really is a great partnership for us, and I think a great partnership for the customers.
Yeah, we would agree. Finding a distributor who is building their business based on, a core base private network architecture, and finding devices out there to represent on the IoT side, from infrastructure build to devices to networking. I think working with a distribution like Stargent will not only benefit your partners, but also your customers, John. And GXC really appreciates the relationship that we've forged here. I think we've answered the questions. I think from here, I think we want to kind of talk about a little bit about, if you're interested, what are the next steps? What's that process look like? I think there's a slide. Yeah. And how we like to kind of do things. And here it's kind of like a meshed, sorry for the pun, it's like a meshed Stargent GXC process here, but probably nothing that you guys on the phone here or on the webinar here haven't already been exposed to. We really like to get that discovery meeting set up, how we can solve those issues. We like to bring in, we have a phenomenal sales engineering team at GXC who does a wonderful job of scoping out projects and estimating solutions, along with the help of Stargent's in-house expertise on that as well. And then let's get connected. Let's start talking about how we can help solve your customers' needs as a whole encompassed team and solution here between GXC and Stargent. And John, I'll let you add in onto that as well.
It's super easy because, I think one thing here, this is a great process, but the question that you may have is, well, how do I do that? You're going to get an email at the end of this that will give you the opportunity to schedule a meeting, ask your questions. So it's as simple as hitting reply in the follow-up email here. And our team here at Stargent will take those, process them, work with the GXC team. We'll get the technical team on board. We can give you quotes for anything and get everything going. If you are an end user and you need installation, you need engineering, we have partners that do that across the country. So do not fear that you don't have the in-house capability to do this. Part of what we bring is also a national partner network that we can tap anywhere in the country, North America, to get these things up and running in your facility.
And I'd add to that too, if it hasn't become clear with the partnership with Stargent, for those partners that are listening to this webinar or who are on the webinar today, GXC is a partner first company. We're based in Austin, Texas. We've been around since 2016, 2017 timeframe. And we are partner first. We've got a great partnership program that we can walk you through Stargent, and we are committed to channel sales and partner activity from trade shows and marketing campaigns and helping with getting your private wireless business and practice set up and going. Stargent and GXC are fully committed to that. So if we don't catch you virtually via email or anything like that, we're hoping that you'll stop by the next trade show that we're all at and introduce yourselves, and we'll be happy to chat with you there.
Yep. Thanks so much for everybody's time. Please feel free to reach out if you have any questions at all from this, or if we can help kind of bring your ideas to fruition and help form a solution for anything that you're thinking.
Everybody's time today. Thank you.
Thanks.